We're talking Nightingale Killer, ham radios, and Lil Jay tonight on the Frequency After Show. Stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Did you guys see what I did there with the opening music?
Yeah, I see what
That's
you did there.
very clever.
Little play on words.
Right?
Little John Mayer.
Lil John Mayer for you. What's up, After Buzzers? Welcome to Season 1, Episode 2 of the Frequency After Show. This episode is called Signal and Noise, and we got a lot to talk about, so I figured we should just get started. I would like to start off with the Nightingale Killer. We open up this episode with them identifying Ramey's mother as a victim of the Nightingale Killer. We realize that she's a victim of the Nightingale Killer because she has rosary beads around her ankles and wrists, correct?
Right, but who are we? Because there might be some people that don't know who we are.
Oh my gosh, I'm sorry.
We didn't ID ourselves.
I do, because we're running late, and
that's
I
how
wanted
we
to
do.
get into
Sometimes
it.
we're so in the zone, we're just ready to tell you about this show
I
that
know.
we forget to tell you who we
let's do
are.
this fast because we're already like 20 minutes behind, and I have so much to talk about. I'm your lead host, Olivia Gabaree. You guys can find me at @thereal_O_G.
What's up, guys? I'm Gabriel Gonzalez. You can find me on Twitter at Double G on TV.
And you already know it's Chaos J, KAAOS J, Twitter, holla at your boy.
You sound like you should be on a ham radio.
Right.
I'm Chris Howard. You can reach me at Chris Howard Live on Twitter and Instagram.
Kelly,
Thanks.
how many people actually call you Chaos J out and around?
Usually it's just Chaos. They don't mention the J. It's either Chaos or it's Mr. Jones.
Just check it.
Mr.
Yeah.
Jones. Thanks, Mr. Jones, for
You're
having
welcome.
my back on
Hey,
that
I
one.
got you.
I totally forgot. I mean, I know you guys everyone wants to follow us anyway, so
I think you did
it'd be
it.
nice
You
if
did
some-
it in an alternate timeline.
yeah.
Yeah.
Funny you say that.
I was gonna say, it'd be nice if someone, talked to us on the radio and told us, don't forget to introduce them at the
Exactly.
beginning.
They would have been able to. We would have been able to avoid that problem if I had the ham handy, but I don't. So Anyways, so
Back
as
to the
I was
rosary
saying,
beads.
Yeah.
back to the rosary beads. So we realized that Ramey's mother had been killed. This happened due to what happened in last episode, which Ramey messed with the past, trying to save her father, and instead her mother was killed. So what do you guys think about the Nightingale Killer?
I think it's definitely just scarier. I mean, the first episode, there was so much going on and just understanding the whole Frequency universe.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this episode was really nice. We're going to get into more of a bit of a procedural aspect, and we're looking at, is it really Thomas Goff? Because we had that discussion, but definitely just the fact that why is he ramping up all these attacks now since Ramey changed things? Is it somebody we know? We just haven't figured it out. So I think it's very interesting. And I love how they are burning the candle from both ends in a really creative way with Frank and Ramey's storyline.
Exactly.
It's pretty wild.
All right.
I think killing's a bad thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, that's very true.
Don't kill people.
Don't kill people.
So from the beginning, we did find out that since Ramey messed with the past, the Nightingale Killer has killed 20 more people than he had originally in the the
1996.
original universe.
Right.
Now, that's weird because the only thing that changed that I know was the father was saved. Right, we know the mother died, but was there anything else that happened that would have caused 20 more people to be killed?
Well, it's the butterfly effect.
Well, not only that, but I also think that in the first shift, remember, guys, I said that's going to be what we're going to call
The
it.
keyword.
We're gonna
First
call these shifts. Okay.
shift. I think there's something where I'm going to have to go back and watch, but I feel like there's something that happened in that first shift when the dad lives that basically gave this guy carte blanche to keep doing what he wanted to do, and so I think we're going to find that out in the next few episodes. What happened? What changed? That said, oh yeah, I run these streets.
Well,
and then he was able to go ahead and continue killing because there's something that happened in the original universe that caused all that to come to a screeching halt. And then when you have that shift, it's like, oh yeah, Nightingale's still running rampant. So,
but what's weird is
there's
you
that
can't.
missing component.
There's not like a regular cause and effect relationship, because what we saw tonight was that there's the cause. You know, we saw that the guy he didn't die. And then there was something that was passed from the one woman to the other, the nurse in the elevator to the mom.
Looked like the blood samples.
Looked like the blood samples. So those two things were potential causes. But what we were seeing tonight was that it's not just the initial cause. There's like this whole other parallel timeline that's running simultaneously with other potential causes in it. Did you?
Exactly.
Well, I think that's the biggest thing, is that we understood that things can change pretty much within the same day, and they're not going to have that big shift, you know, like when Raimi saved her father and suddenly she remembers a whole new timeline. It's not going to be that way every single time. So I think that's something to understand. Chaos, would you say it changes in the periphery?
It definitely changes in the periphery. It definitely changes in the periphery. There's a lot going on, and again, this is one of those shows where you really do have to pay attention. You know, because you get up to go get a Coca-Cola or something, or a Pepsi, whatever
Shit,
your
I just
choice
did that.
You did
Before the show started.
and then guess what? You miss key elements of the show.
Exactly. And I mean, as you say, obviously there was something that we're missing, that either something that had happened in the original past that stopped the Nightingale Killer from killing, or something that happened in the alternative past that inspired him to keep going. However, since we do realize that this is like a parallel past running with the present, I kind of fear that we're never even going to really find out what that is, because now that we're so... Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, now that we're in a different present, whatever that was that triggered that change could not even exist anymore.
Right. Not only that, but at the end of the day, is it even important? Because...
It's just a TV show?
Well, that too. But I feel like we might not even need to get caught up in the fact of why he continued to kill, 20 more people over that course of time. It might just be, now let's figure out, is it Goff? Is it somebody else? Who else has their hands in this cookie jar? Because we already see there's some dirty cops that we didn't know were dirty. Right. From the end of the last episode to this one.
It seems to me there's got to be a connection between the cops and the killer.
You think so?
Oh, yes,
I think it's something, to answer that. I think that mystery will be solved when we find out who the Nightingale Killer really is, because then Raimi and Frank together are probably going to figure out, well, when that happened, that meant this happened, etc., etc. Right. And all those things, they're going to figure out exactly what happened when they changed the timeline that affected Nightingale.
Exactly. And whether this Goff guy is the Nightingale Killer or not, we do know that he's like a prominent character in this storyline, because whatever Raimi is causing to change in the past, large changes are happening. We see, he did have something to hide. He had a woman hiding in like a hutch, like underneath the ground of a shed. And we see he raped somebody, and that was quashed before. And his mother walks in on him hiding this girl, right?
Or no, it was after the fact, actually. It's after the girl
got away, and he's bloody.
And when Raimi goes back to that, and goes to see Goff, and he no longer lives there, because at that point she had already changed the past.
Yes.
He hadn't lived there for a long period of time. And that shed where he was committing these murders and hiding these women were gone.
But that little bottom area, that little hideaway was still there.
Exactly. So bottom line is, this Goff character is somebody. Whether he's the Nightingale Killer or not, we don't know. But
because what was strange was we knew he was walking the one girl through the marsh, right? And that there was something that happened. He paid her to shut her up, or the mother did. And then so she ended up telling Rainey that yes, he had assaulted her or whatever there. And now he had this other girl under there. He could have just been a friendly neighborhood rapist that was doing his thing, but was somehow connected, or maybe he was using that marsh because he knew that he could hide it. And
right. Well, and that was something that she said, where she said, it's one of these places where if you know what's there, you know what's there, but if you don't know about it,
it's easy to hide things.
It's easy to hide things, exactly. So
he might have been a wannabe. Nightingale or something.
Right.
Well, I think the impact of the mother is something that's I'm assuming in the original timeline, after she just saved Frank, that she probably didn't know, or maybe she found out and stopped him at the beginning. But something obviously is there that is allowing Thomas Goff. Some enabling is going on there.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Well, because I get the feeling from the mother that they're very affluent, and that their reputation is everything, and that will be a tarnish on their reputation. So I feel like, as we're going to see in one of these timelines, is that the mother is going to, while she's shocked and appalled at what her son has done, she's going to do whatever she can to maintain the family reputation and status. Right. So she's going to get the lawyers and cover up whatever she can cover up.
You believe that? Isn't that ridiculous? If you were a mother, wouldn't you just
reality.
turn him in?
Yeah. It is. I mean, it happens today. I mean, look at Ethan Couch or whatever that guy is, where his he killed those people, and in his when the judge was going to give him the most lenient sentence of history by giving him 2 years probation, it was just like, oh my goodness, I can't do it. Him and his mom fled to Mexico. Yeah, and he wasn't smart enough to orchestrate that plan. She did. Protective mothers. Certainly. Sometimes you do too much.
Certainly there's a lot of shades of realism, and I think it's very interesting that they're not going to start thinking, well, Raimi's going to want to change every single thing to affect everything Frank does, by the day, by the action, because she realizes, you can't solve the problem that way.
Yeah, the repercussions are too big.
Yes, right. There's going to be, specific things that they're going to try to affect, not just, hey, this is a general thing.
Exactly.
They can't be broad with this, I think is what I'm trying to get at.
And that was one of the things that I wrote down was, I said, how do you warn someone about an impending doom without directly telling them? How do you say, look, you're going to die tomorrow, you're going to get hit with a tire in the face? Yeah. How do you do that without saying, hey, bro, you're going to get hit with a tire in the face? It was like, you might not want to go down Main Street around 5 o'clock. Yeah. Why? I always go down Main Street at 5 o'clock. That's where I like to walk my dog. Yeah. Well, I think they're going to be doing construction. No, I checked. The city record said there's no construction going on. So it's like,
I think you're going to get a tire in the face.
And then you tell them that, so then they do something else, and then they get the tire in the face, but maybe it's on the left side instead of the right. So I feel like we're going to see a lot of a back and forth with, this conflict of, okay, when can I say something? When do I not say something? And vice versa, because again, I felt like when they're on the ham radio, and stop me if I'm jumping ahead, when they're on the ham radio, there was... Okay.
we can get to that.
We'll get to that. But basically, we're going to see multiple instances of where it's like, but I can't say anything.
Yeah.
Right.
Because I don't want to affect, I don't want to make another alternate shift in the future, in the timeline. There are going to be
instances where they're going to be afraid to affect the timeline, so they're going to get gun shy about giving each other information.
Right. I think it's the whole entire thing is just a learning process, especially for Raimi. I mean, and Frank as well, because
I think even more so for Frank. I think Raimi has a little bit more of a better handle on it than Frank does.
Well, I mean, as we see that now, but originally she didn't. But I mean, how could you ever grasp a concept like this? You don't really. I mean, you just act on things, and you don't really understand the repercussions of it until it actually happens.
You didn't take time travel 101 in college?
Yeah, and apparently I missed that. I don't know.
That's actually how we know each other. Exactly. We took time travel 101.
I was sitting next to Marty McFly in that class. Can you believe it? Doc Brown was there.
But what do you think? Would it be weirder to communicate? Would it be weirder in Raimi's position or in Frank's position?
Frank. Because, he's the one. He doesn't know what happens 20 years into the future. Raimi not only finds out the effect, but just all the repercussions later.
And not even the question of it being weirder, of it being harder.
Harder to comprehend.
Yeah.
It's not only that, and it's kind of like he really has to trust her.
Yeah.
There's got to be that strong trust, because you tell me, hey man, do not go down that street. You're going to get bit by a zombie. And I'm like, dude, there's not even any zombie outbreaks right now. What are you talking about?
Because they can really mess with you if they wanted to.
They can. But I've got to trust you that you're going to steer me in the right. It's almost like they're riding a motorcycle down the time freeway, and he's got a blindfold on, and he's got to listen to her directions.
Wasn't
so
that
he
in a
can
movie
steer.
recently?
It was.
Yes,
Yeah.
that was it. Yeah.
You see what I did there? You see what I did there?
You stole
Plug
it.
for
Take a sip every
nerve. It
time
should be
we
on
get a
DVD or
reference.
HD. Check it out.
I do have a question for you guys, though. Maybe you can clarify for me because I didn't quite understand. But what shift did Raimi make that made it so the girl could escape?
Remember this, she sent Frank and Satch there. So
Yes, she
originally
did.
they never did. So whatever happened with Maya Gowan, it just was left by itself. Because she sent them, remember, that meant that, Goff came out of the shed, which is how she had the
Bought
opportunity
enough time to.
get out of the hutch
So it was
and beat
just
up.
because he left the shed that she
She had the
Right.
opportunity to escape that put everything in motion.
Maybe he didn't lock it right, or maybe whatever it was
Exactly,
that
okay.
time. I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And we saw exactly in that scene is when I think it was the point where we understood how parallel things were actually happening because things were changing so quickly. At first, they didn't even explore this Goff guy. Frank and his partner went and they knew he existed, but now as this is happening and how Raimi's having this conversation, something changed and Maya escaped, which originally did not happen.
Correct.
So
Yeah.
it kind of throws like a wrench in things, and it starts to get kind of confusing, and
Like-
that's when you really have to start paying attention.
That's where the fact that they run parallel to the minute gets confusing
Exactly.
That's
because
the weird
things
part.
change in the same day. So earlier she went and obviously Goff was still there. She goes back again, seemingly, very short amount of time, and suddenly all that has changed.
So this is totally different time travel because I haven't seen this in other time travel things where they have the parallel things happening.
It's kind of crazy,
Yeah.
and
We didn't learn that in school.
yeah, they
Yeah, no,
like
that wasn't.
You failed that quiz.
That
You
was
failed
that was time
quiz.
travel AP.
I cheated off Marty in that one. He got a good grade.
yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's
Olivia's like,
She's
okay,
trying to
guys.
make real sense of
No,
this.
Olivia's like, okay, guys, that
Funny.
joke is dead. Like, let it go.
around,
Like,
trying
it's
to make
so
sense of
corny.
this.
get it, honey. Like I'm trying to understand here, but
Go ahead, Olivia.
Well, you have
What
the
is your
T-shirt
shirt?
on.
my
Your
train of
T-shirt.
thought.
Your
What,
T-shirt.
my Drake T-shirt.
Oh, that's totally in alignment with the rosary beads I was seeing.
Oh, I did it on purpose.
Okay.
No, I'm just kidding. I
That's
didn't.
She rides
just
through the
trying to be
six with her
stylish.
woes. She know how it goes. Hey.
You guys are so cheesy tonight, but you crack me up. It's okay.
She's like, I'm lactose intolerant. I'm gonna need it to stop.
Are you really?
no,
No.
no, I'm not.
You look like you're about
But
to tell her,
after the
like, do
night,
you need
she
a
might
pumpkin
be.
spice latte? You look like
I
you're
don't
about to
even
say
like
that.
pumpkin spice lattes. What, you trying to
job.
say I look
High
basic
five.
or something?
I did not say that. You said that.
So basic.
Newsflash. If you like pumpkin spice lattes in 2016,
That's so
you basic.
Yeah.
All right.
Were we
So, okay,
talking
back
about a
to
TV
frequency.
show?
Like, what are we talking about here? Okay. So, anyways, I think. Do you guys want to touch on? Do you guys want to talk about?
What about Frank and Stan Moreno?
Yeah,
maybe?
Moreno.
Oh, we gotta get into that.
Yeah.
First
Yeah.
off, real quick sidebar. Is it me or was Raimi just like she was? I want to say she was hangry. Like, I don't even want to say she was
On a
angry
date?
this whole episode. No, this whole episode, I felt like she was hangry. Like, somebody give her a sandwich. She
I
was
think-
so mean the
She
whole
got that
episode.
combination of guilt and anger because she knows, yeah, she may have saved her dad, but now she killed her mom and she feels
Yeah.
responsible
Her mom
for
did
that.
just die.
She's probably
Yeah.
just like it's so
This is true.
overwhelmed.
Give her a break. It's only an
And-
hour episode. She can.
But
I'm
I gotta
just
say that,
saying.
like, that opening scene where that steel
Just
gaze,
so
I was like, damn.
Man, she
Well,
was,
she was
just
already
so
upset
angry.
because dad left her, and then dad was dirty, and now he's not, and now but her mom's dead. You know, it's not got to be easy.
I mean, she's
got
just
hit with
she's
a
trying to
tire.
juggle the past and the present and make and like she's going into this blind and she's trying to like
Figure it out as she
create this
goes.
reality, and it's like, how could you even create something like that? You start to realize that every action and every even conversation that you have contributes to a different change. And it's like, she made that first change and now she's screwed. Like, she's deep in that hole and things are going to continue to change no matter what, because, I mean, it was just never, it's never going to be that you already changed the past. You know what I mean?
See, it's very butterfly effect because things were horrendous that were happening afterwards. One thing happened.
Right,
Was your
right.
name really Chaos?
No, my name is actually Kelly.
Oh, but chaos is so cool because it's
It
like
is,
chaos.
right?
It's chaos theory is the butterfly thing. Where they say when the butterfly flaps its wings, there's a typhoon on the other side of the planet. That's chaos
So it
theory.
just kind of works.
Yeah, it works.
See what happened right there? It just works.
He spoke a lot of
but
doctor
yeah,
right there.
we definitely gotta touch on the fact that let's just jump back. Let's just rewind. Just rewind.
Now it's Wayne's
She
World.
tells Raymond tells Frank like you need to leave. And you need to leave. Stan's dirty. It wasn't a sting. It was a setup. Whatever. Okay, so Frank's getting ready to leave from the hospital, and he's got the ham radio. He's dressed. He's walking out. And then you see this whole welcome party. Other police, other officers from the force.
He's like a hero. He gets the welcome.
Well, they
Right.
call him a hero.
Right,
literally.
exactly. For his efforts and what he did, he gets a combat service award. Then he gets a party when he goes home. So you get to see all of that, and then you see, none other than Stan. Before he even gets to the party, hey man, you gonna make us chase you? And I was just like, oh snap, like it's about to get real. Well, it just got real fun because they just had a party.
Yeah.
It was just like a real happy time. Until wifey Julie came down with the pillows and the blanket, like, oh, I thought you'd be more comfortable there. And it's like, really? Do you really like?
Well,
since when does a couch
remember,
more
he
comfortable than the
essentially
bed?
he didn't tell her like, hey, babe, I'm leaving to go undercover. They need me. No, he really just kind of up and left, and he left them alone. Remember that she did in the original timeline.
I get it.
He
I
doesn't
know
come
she's
back.
bitter. I get it. She's bitter, but I'm just saying, like, let the man. Hold on. The man's been undercover. We
Give him a
don't
little.
know.
Is that what you're thinking?
No, not even the sympathy booty, but just cutting some slack. And let the man sleep in the bed?
Hold on. Pause.
Pause. Okay, the woman.
Okay, time out.
I had enough of this conversation. She, I do understand your perspective. He up and left her, which is awful. Right. And granted, it was for his job. It's not like he just did it for another woman or something. And it would be nice for her to be there for him. And I think she was intending to be there for him. Just because she's welcoming him into bed right from the jump doesn't mean she wasn't about to. However,
I wasn't saying that she needed to give him any though.
I'm not saying that, but just welcome him back into a relationship after 2 years. Things take some time, but because of the way he approached things, she's not seeing things from his perspective. She's not aware of his knowledge of what is about to happen with this Nightingale Killer situation. And she says, literally, quote, I can't be talking cop talk all of the time. You know what I mean? The first time they have a conversation together alone, he's already jumping into something that she had been uncomfortable with from
AKA
the
cop
beginning.
talk. Gotcha.
Because that's his life.
And
right?
then also
so these are typical marriage problems.
I would have a seat, but I'm already sitting down. So next time I'll make sure I stand up so that when you need me to have a seat, like you just did, I'll just be able to be like, okay, Olivia, I'm gonna sit down now. I'm gonna have a seat.
Hey, that was for saying she was
So-
lactose intolerant. That's a
Well,
good
no,
thing.
because that was a compliment. Because I was saying that we were so cheesy that we were gonna make her lactose
But if she was
intolerant.
lactose intolerant, you might not have even wanted to go into the bed.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, anyway,
Okay,
one
so-
question, but I have a question for you. The whole thing about the sting. So did we get that figured out? Why? So they said it wasn't a sting. It got covered up. They asked him to say it wasn't a sting. Did we ever?
Right, and that's
Well,
exactly
remember
what I was about to say.
the dirty officers. We got Stan Moreno, and he had some other part of his crew there. Frank wasn't in on it. They are the ones saying there was no sting. That was never part of the plan. Essentially, it's their word against Frank's.
But do we know why? Why is it so
No,
important?
they did not reveal
Can I
that.
ask you guys a
We
question?
don't know the end goal yet.
Did Frank ever have a conversation with Stan about they were planning to both lie, or not lie, but both claim there wasn't a sting?
No,
there was no
Frank
conversation.
just understood that, hey, you have to say this, otherwise it's...
But what would make him understand that?
They said there's 3 decorated officers
Exactly,
that are
but
willing.
he had already went into this meeting
Getting ready to tell them about the sting.
About to tell the truth.
So he knows that it's going to be their word against his, because at that point he hadn't talked to Lil Jay, and without Lil Jay he can't prove that Stan Moreno was going to do what he
Exactly.
did. And he knows
But he
that
didn't know
there's
that,
thing
he
on
didn't
his-
know that they were gonna go. But here's the thing, though. He didn't know that they were gonna tell the
That's what I
Internal
mean.
Affairs Board that there wasn't a sting.
They didn't plan to
Yes.
lie together. And what now that has me thinking is Stan was backstabbing Frank again, because now, although he didn't kill them, now he's making him look like a liar.
Exactly.
Well, but they were in
and that's
there.
but I think that's the goal. You're right. I think they want to discredit him. So that's why they're kind of just like, look, just chill. Like,
They were going to discredit him, though, but the internal affairs were obviously on the inside because they were like, stop that. Listen, they said this.
Yeah.
If you don't say the same. And so he said the same. He said that wasn't a sting. But the question
Clearly
is
there's
why?
some workplace politics. I mean, they're going to get into it. I feel like, because Stan Moreno's going to be around. He's not done yet. That
I think
storyline
he's the
isn't
Nightingale
closed yet.
Killer.
No, that's too much at once.
that's yeah, you're reaching.
That's too much.
I'm
No, I
gonna call
think
you
it's
Stretch
too easy.
Armstrong
It's
because
obvious.
you reaching on that one.
Okay, all right,
You
we'll
reaching,
see.
bro.
Yeah, I mean, so
She's over here
now
like you
he's
guys.
he's willing to lie, and he goes along with the lie. But now it's clear that Stan has it out for Frank. But now I'm wondering why is he doing everything in his power to get Frank to be killed, to be corrupt, to tarnish his name?
Because Frank's the one who could bring down Stan and whatever other part of their operation they're running there.
Right,
in
so
the
he's the key.
NYPD.
He's a good
Yes.
cop. He must be a good
Right,
cop.
right. Frank is
Yeah.
right, and we've seen this. Quite a few times in TV shows and in movies where, when you know that you've got someone that is just deadly do right, and you're not deadly do right, you kind of got a little
You gotta
dirt.
take them out.
Then it's like,
gotta take
yeah,
him
like
out.
it's like, you know what? Like, I can't have you in my circle because you're going to snitch.
Unless you get some dirt on you. That way they can
Exactly,
hold it
right.
over your
Unless
head.
they have something
Yeah.
that they can pin on you and say, hey, you just as dirty as me, bro. Keep your mouth shut. So
Or you're gonna end up in the periphery.
That's right. That's Trump's strategy. But anyway, that's a different story.
Yeah, so unfortunately now it's 3 against 1, and the only outlet that Frank has to make it out of here as a good cop and alive is ironically Lil Jay, the one that they were trying to, arrest and put down,
Burn
is now
down.
his saving grace
pretty much.
For a while.
for a couple. Yeah, just real quick.
He survived a whole 2 episodes. How about that?
I know. So Frank goes to have a conversation with Lil Jay, and obviously Raimi was upset about this because her priority, remember, is still saving her mother. But Frank had some other things to take care of first.
Well, he says it bluntly, like, I can't go after Nightingale if Stan Moreno is still trying to kill me here in
Exactly.
1996.
And that would hinder his career as a cop as well, because if his name was tarnished and he wasn't able to continue on as a cop,
Right. He might get demoted.
and he can't be a part of the Nightingale
Investigation.
task force.
Yep. There
Or
you
if
go.
he's dead, everything stops.
Exactly.
Even the show. Oh wait. No, it doesn't.
So we see that Lil J is willing to be on his side just because, as much as Frank needs him, he also needs Frank. So they try to help each other out, and we see he finally agrees to come and speak to the police, whatever. But then Stan Moreno comes in like the snake that he is, and you could just tell by their conversation that they're not saying it, but they both know what's going on there in that
Oh,
situation.
yeah, there's a mutual understanding that, like, I know it was you, I just can't prove it. And the other one, but you can't do anything about it right now.
And
Exactly.
you don't want to know more, and you don't want to have
and
this
Stan
conversation.
Moreno
Yeah.
is technically still is holding all the cards because he got rid of Lil J. They didn't state that, but that's how it went down
Oh,
somehow.
for sure. And I'm wondering if there's other. Well, actually, no, because at that point, no one in the police, in the station, knew that Lil J was coming. So I wonder, maybe
Somebody did, because as soon as he was off the phone with them and he started, they got him.
Exactly.
It was that
Yeah.
close.
Frank tried to get out of there.
Yeah, so Moreno knew exactly what Frank was up to.
Mm-hmm.
He knew that Little J was coming, and he killed him.
I think somehow with all that, what's his name? Satch is the key. I
think so?
don't know if necessarily he flips on Frank, but I feel like somehow to help out the Stan Moreno situation, I think that Raimi, because she has that rapport with Satch, that he's somehow going to come into play in both timelines. Because I can't see Frank right now by himself being able to do it. It's just too stacked against him.
And I see it it could either go both ways. I mean, obviously Moreno has an in with the gang and everything, so either it's someone on that end that's giving him the information that Frank and Lil Jay have been in contact and now Lil Jay is going to be coming, or there's another dirty cop in the situation that knew that Frank was going to pursue this avenue to save his ass, you know what I mean? And Moreno just had to intercept that.
Well, remember, too, we still got the two other guys from the Sting that we haven't seen since the first episode that, you know, flash forward to the future when Raimi goes and confronts them and realizes that, you know, it was a cover-up and a whole bunch of other dirty stuff. So we haven't seen them, too. So remember, they've, you know, Stan Moreno's, you know, he's still pulling those puppet strings, so he's got people on the inside.
Yeah, because it wasn't Lil Jay that was going to shoot him himself. It was a younger guy with a beard that was going to shoot him in the first episode.
They were going to use Lil Jay and as the
scapegoat.
Yes.
Yeah. So was that a dirty cop? I don't think it was a dirty cop that was going to do the shooting.
I think they outed Frank as cop.
Yeah.
And that's what helped them
so that he would get killed, right?
By Lil Jay's, you know, gang.
Henchman.
That was in his periphery.
Yeah, got it. The periphery. Was periphery real big last week?
It was. That was
You
the word of the
didn't watch
day.
our show.
Okay, it happens in the periphery. No, I didn't watch yours. I watched these show.
I mean,
though.
you
I love
are
you.
not the survivor off the island.
I love you.
And so, unfortunately, we only have 10 minutes left, but I do, before we get to predictions, I just want to touch on Julie, Raimi's mother, quickly.
Yeah.
So, she's the victim of this, pretty much of this episode, of this storyline. Everything they do is an effort to save Julie. And it gets kind of hard because, as you said, Julie's pretty bitter about the situation. And as much as I feel for her, and how could you ever, like, it's like I want her to trust Frank, but I understand why she doesn't trust him.
Right.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, but if she doesn't wake up, she's dead. So it's
Exactly.
like, come on.
I will say this: the scene at the end where you know, Frank, you know, he tries to make the play with the radio to get her to understand. That one was heartbreaking,
That
just
was
because
so
you can,
hard.
you know, they really push their motivations, and
Right.
this was supposed to be like, hey, this could work. And when you understood why it didn't happen, that one was like, wow, you know. And I think that was one of the best moments of the show so far.
Well, not only that, because at first you just see him talking, and so you don't even think, you're like, oh, okay, she's off fighting crime. You know, she's not even there. And then to see that she's actually there and she's listening to
That
him
was shocking.
pleading with her.
And he looks crazy.
He
Yeah,
does. And
yeah.
I'm just like, oh, why you let your dad look crazy like that? Just say hi.
We were all screaming at the TV.
Seriously.
Like, say something. Like, because as soon as I realized she was sitting there too, I was kind of mad at her. I was like, come on, like, don't make him look like an idiot.
But also, in addition, she's killing her mother by not saying anything. So it's like,
Right.
And that's
she
what
doesn't-
and right. And I'm just like, I get it. I understand the you know, the rules, and you're trying to figure it out as you go along. But I'm like, at this time, like, your dad is getting ready. You're letting your dad look crazy to a mom who's already bitter and skeptical and cynical of him, just in everything right now. So it's like, just say something. And I know that it's going to be a lot of extra explaining to do down the road. Like, okay, why am I talking to my daughter on the ham radio when I know she's in the house asleep? I know that there was going to be explanations, but it frustrated me to no end that she didn't just say something. So now Dad's out the house, which means it's that much harder for him to protect Julie.
Exactly.
And it just, it's going to be good. Next week is going to be good.
it's a fantastic show. I mean, between the two episodes, it's amazing. Yeah, they're doing
Something
a
to
good job.
figure out though. So he's gone. He left the ham radio there because it's still there in the future when Raimi gets it present day. So that's something I want to figure out. It's like, how is he going to still have access to it, but it ends up back where Raimi finds it in
Back
the
at the
pilot.
house.
So that's
Well,
something.
Hadn't he already gotten kicked out when he was having a conversation with Raimi? Because he was like, I know. She was like, I didn't think that you were going to get kicked out. and he was like, I
Yes.
understand you, blah blah blah.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay,
You have a
yes.
point. Yeah. So
Well, my point is, whatever happens to Frank, eventually the ham radio
Gets back to the house.
Yes. So
Yeah.
how does that happen? That's something to wait
Or
and see.
But it never left the house.
But what if something? What if Raimi? Wait, let's go into predictions before I
Okay.
drop this bomb.
Okay.
this
Drop the bomb zone.
Not dropping a bomb, but you know.
Chaos switch seats. It's about to go down.
So I'm thinking not necessarily that this will happen, but something that definitely could happen is if Raimi, messes something up or something happens to this radio in the past, then she loses all communication and all
wow.
control over everything. You know what I'm saying? So say Frank is kicked out of the house and this radio is in the garage and it's like haunting Julie. She can't stand it, whatever. She destroys it, throws it away.
I think you're gonna have on both
Yeah, I
sides.
think the show's done.
Once again,
know?
burning the candle from both ends. Frank knows he needs to fix it if he's gonna accomplish the mission. Same thing in the present day. Raimi knows nothing can happen to her radio, so I think.
But
yeah, they're probably
the
gonna do
radio
that.
won't be there in the present day if he gets
Well, they're
destroyed
gonna
back
figure.
then.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, then
Yeah.
it's on his end to fix it.
Yeah, it's on his
the
end,
same
yeah.
thing. If something happens in present day, it's on her end to fix it.
Well, since she didn't want to say something, now he's got to fix him and Julie and get back in that house.
It's true.
Right. So how do you guys think this is going to play out, either with the Nightingale Killer situation or with Julie and the Nightingale Killer?
I think that Frank is gonna have to find a way to use Little Raimi to just get through to
So
Julie.
little Raimi.
Like, make sure your mom, here's some milk. Make sure your mom doesn't go to the grocery store, kind of deal.
milk.
Oh, I didn't realize.
Clearly, tonight's episode was dairy themed.
I guess so.
All right, buy some bread. Anyway, but the point is, little things like that. Somehow I feel like that's what they're gonna try to do, especially if Frank just can't outright protect her himself.
Right. What do you think, Kelly?
All right. Well.
Oh, brace yourselves, guys.
I know this is about to be a
Can we
crazy.
call it
Buckle up.
chaos for this show?
Yeah,
What do you
that's
think, chaos?
yeah, all day. So, I mean, I don't know. I feel like we're going to see there's going to be something's going to happen as a result of him being put out. Furthermore, something's going to happen with that Goff storyline. But I don't think that Goff is the Nightingale Killer.
I agree.
So,
I don't think so either.
whether he's a copycat or something else, I think we're gonna get more into that, and I think we're gonna get a little more insight as to what's going on with Moreno and the bad guys. The dirty cops. I don't know. I think that she's going to pay dearly for not saying something. It's going to bite her in the butt.
But so my question is Julie still going to die?
Right now,
Or-
yes, but I
Yeah.
think it's the 11-week timeline. I think is still a fixed point. That's why she hasn't done anything yet.
Okay.
She just doesn't want to mess with that because at least that's still a day that they can narrow down. Like, just watch her all day.
I mean, but at this point, if Goff was the killer, we already intercepted that in some way because his victim has
Got
just
away.
escaped.
Right.
Right. I think Julie won't die. I think they'll bring her back to a present day character. But I also think that if it's not Moreno, who I said was the Nightingale Killer, I think it has something to do with the cops. I think there's some connection that's
What if
bigger.
Moreno killed Julie?
That would be some like he
Well, I wouldn't be
pretended to be
surprised.
the
Or he
Nightingale
pretended
Killer.
to be the
Yeah,
Nightingale
pretend- yeah.
Killer.
That's an idea. I feel like we're more likely to see Moreno, set Frank up to be killed by the Nightingale Killer, like collateral damage. Not,
But is the Nightingale Killer killing men as well, or is it
No.
just
like
one
I
So
said,
far,
that
no.
collateral damage.
Right.
Like maybe he sets up Julie. He knows Frank is gonna be there, and it's setting up another hit on him.
Right.
Who knows?
Well, they could always change. I mean, the Nightingale Killer is recognized by who he kills, how he kills them, and what he does with them.
Yes, the
but
MO.
we still have the power to change that in the past. So all of that could really disappear, and he could just be a general
Ah, you got a
serial
point.
killer
His
in a different
victims
way.
could change. Although,
Yeah.
I also want to point out, just because we've seen him by name, that character Gordo. I'm not saying he is Nightingale, but I feel like, okay, why are you bringing this guy up 2 episodes, but he's still playing such a minor role?
he's
Yeah.
supposed
And
to
I
be
feel
her
like-
best friend from,
Right.
I
from
feel like
when they
he
grew
needs
up.
to play a bigger role. Otherwise, it's like, well, If I'm
think
gonna
he's-
put another guy who's not Goff on the board, he's kind of on it right now, just because it's like, well, did Lil Raimi also push away Gordo due to their actions with the ham radio?
Well, yeah, I think Gordo definitely isn't going to come into a larger play because there is a reason, although his scenes were kind of insignificant, really.
Yeah.
Like, we could have done without them, but there's a reason for everything in this show, and they
We
were
still
definitely
love
there
you,
for a
Gordo.
reason.
Don't be mad, bro.
Yeah. He had to go home and drink all his beers by himself, but it's all right. Poor
That
Gordo.
sounds like a good time.
Yeah. I don't know. Any final thoughts you guys want to bring up before we wrap this one?
Periphery.
Periphery.
Hashtag periphery.
No, I just like it. I think
yes,
it's great. I'm
again,
having fun.
as we did last week, by all means, feel free to take a shot every time you hear periphery.
Take a shot. Oh, is that what you're doing?
Unfortunately, we did not have a new word of the night for you for the episode.
Chaos.
But don't worry about it. We will come up with some more words.
We didn't
And
have a
yes,
word. We had a theme.
Tonight's theme was dairy. Last
Dairy?
week, yeah,
Okay.
last week he said periphery instead of peripheral, and I honed in on it. I was like,
Periphery is a real word, though, too.
Yeah.
They're both words.
really?
Yeah, periphery is a word.
Like in the dictionary.
Like in the dictionary.
You thought I
guaranteed.
was making that up?
I really did. Because I've never heard of periphery.
You got peripheral vision, and-
Right.
Or you could say in the periphery, these things are happening.
Oh my.
Oh,
There you go.
there it is. Periphery.
It's
I
definitely-
stand
Is it,
corrected.
there is the
Scroll down.
definition. The outer
I
limits of
stand
edge.
corrected.
The outer
Periphery.
limits or edge of an area
We
or
talked
object.
about this,
We
man.
did, but
when
I
you
don't-
see the hot girl come in, you don't want to look right
And
at
she's
her.
in your periphery.
Exactly.
But I really, honestly, I had never heard of that derivative of peripheral before.
Well,
Imagine.
you learned
There you go.
something.
There you
Knowledge
go.
dropped right there.
Boom.
for
We
you.
are so into giving value
We
here.
are totally the ones who are going to figure out this very confusing show. 'cause
Exactly.
Yes.
They jump around a lot.
All right, guys. Thank you for tuning in. We love your comments on our YouTube page. You guys have given us so many different predictions, and they're great because they definitely contribute to our thoughts here. So definitely still keep doing that, and we
Yeah,
can give you a
thank you.
shout out on the next episode.
Podcast, 5 stars, iTunes, 4 or 5. Anything less than that,
Well,
we
if
don't
you want
want
to
it.
give us 4, we deserve the 5.
Yeah, we give us the 5. All right, guys. I'm your lead host, Olivia Gabaree. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at @thereal_O_G.
What's up, guys? I'm Gabriel Gonzalez. Find me on Twitter at @GG on TV. Check out my profile. I did an interview with Scotty Jordan.
Boom. I didn't interview with anybody, but I'm Chaos J all day. KAAOSJ. Make sure you check me out on Twitter. Hit me up, slide in the DMs if you want to talk about the show. Let me know. That's it. Just talk to me about the show. Nothing else, unless it's got something to do with some dairy or periphery.
You know you'll talk about him.
Periphery dairy is what you don't want to get into. No, I'm Chris Howard. Reach me at Chris Howard Live on Twitter and Instagram. I'll just leave it there and keep it basic.
Oh.
Just slide these words in.
Pumpkin spice lattes in your face.
All right.
See you guys
Bye,
next
guys.
week.
See you next week.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.